So this is not good news. I drove down the street to a local gas station, a Shell station near me today to see the price of diesel. You can see that here. Of course, you get a little bit of a break if you pay for cash, but how many people filling up a rig that takes, well over $100 a gallon to fill? Most likely, if diesel is going to have cash on hand to do that, most people are paying with a debit or credit card. So, in Washington State on Wednesday, diesel hit an all-time record of 6.53 a gallon, according to AAA Washington, as you can see here. Um, it's the same price today. It went down like a zero or a hundredth of a cent or something like that today. It's basically still 6.53 a gallon. Um, and it is, again, as I mentioned, a new record. The trucking industry is feeling this big time here in Washington, and school districts as well. Regular gas, I should say, for all you filling up if you are gonna do that at some point in the next day or two. It's 5.30 a gallon on average in Washington today. That is up nearly $1 from a month ago. So this morning, I had a fascinating conversation with Jeff Bosma. He is the owner of Fastway Freight. They're headquartered in Spokane, but they've got two other terminals, one in East Wenatchee and the other in North Idaho. And they operate a fleet of more than 50 company-owned trucks and as many drivers. So these are not independent drivers. They own the rigs, and they're the truck drivers are their employees. So he explained that in many cases, when there's a spike in diesel, although it's never been this great for anybody, they can tack on a fuel charge for most of their customers. About 90%, he said, they can do that with their contracts, but others, they can't charge the customer a higher price and they just have to eat it. And he told me several of their drivers do work a route that takes them every day into Idaho. So that's where they're filling up their tanks, as you might imagine, at a huge cost savings. Remember, here in Washington, we pay much higher fuel prices because of our higher state gas taxes and because of the Climate Commitment Act, which tacks on another 50 cents or more to every gallon of fuel.
90% of our freight, we can get a fuel surcharge on it. But that always lags. It's almost impossible over the years. We've seen it before. Fuel hasn't really jumped this fast, this high, but we've always been able to get that fuel surcharge on there. For the most part, we have a few accounts that are locked in. Those are the ones that sting the most. But there's always a lag behind getting that fuel surcharge on and the increase in that price. So you still take a hit for sure. It's certainly not 100% coverage. We're only 15 miles from the Idaho border from where we're at here. So any of our trucks that go, we have many trucks daily that go into Idaho. So we've just had those trucks make sure they always, once they start coming back, that they fuel up before they come back to Washington. But it's usually 50 cents to $1 is the difference. And I would say a good average is probably 70 to 72 cents that I've seen. I've been kind of tracking it, over the last year, just kind of watching it. It's usually around 70, 72 cents difference.
So for one guy filling up his truck, doing it in Idaho instead of Washington and saving, say it's 72 cents, how much is that saving you with that guy filling up at that amount? I don't know how many gallons he's filling up.
Yeah, a typical truck is probably, a lot of trucks are about 200 gallons. Some are, less than that, but let's just say you have a smaller tanks because like our trucks go out and back every day. 100 gallons, right? 70 cents. There's $70. I was just going to say that truck fuels up, maybe not every day, but it's even 3 days a week, right? There's $210 a week. Those are big numbers pretty soon.
So I reached out to a few local school districts this morning. I only got a response back in time for this podcast from the Auburn School District in South King County. They've got more than 17,000 students, 28 schools, I believe it is, 26 or 28 schools. And their school buses run on diesel, of course. So they're being hit by the diesel hike, but it's even a bigger hit than I imagined. And Vicky Alonso, who is the communications director for the Auburn School District, emailed me some information. She said in January of this year, they were paying 2.87 a gallon for unleaded, and yeah, I'm sorry, for diesel. And then March 18th, 4.67 a gallon. So that's before all of this went up dramatically, right? You've got diesel prices now, as I mentioned, that are well over $6 a gallon. They get 4 uh fuel times per month where they get like a fuel dump, the cost of what they call a refueling drop. So 4 a month. They said that has increased $23,000 per fuel drop. So if these prices continue, she said their fuel costs are increasing at a rate of $100,000 every month. That's just one school district out of the 295 school districts here in the state of Washington because of this spike in diesel fuel. Eventually, that likely translates into the school districts or the Office of Superintendent of Public Instruction coming back to lawmakers next year and saying, we need some help. And so they'll probably going to ask for more money, and taxpayers will be on the hook, to replenish the extra fuel costs for our school districts across the state of Washington.